And welcome everybody to another in the Algorithm webinar series. We're very excited to have you join us this afternoon to take a look at some of the new tools that have been developed by our partners at WiSys. And Mike Oswalt, President and CEO of Algorithm, is here. And Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce Bruce.
That sounds good. You hear me okay, Jeff?
I can.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I asked for a special 2 minutes ahead to get to introduce Bruce. I'm so grateful that he was willing to join us. We have seen what he's going to share with you. We're pretty excited about it. This is Algorithm's 25th year as a reseller, and 25 years ago this year I got to meet Bruce, and we started down this path together, and we've been on it ever since. And we've become good friends. But back in the day, we were a President's Council reseller, and Bruce was the president of Macola, as the Macola founder. And we used to sit in meetings, product meetings, and say, Bruce, your product needs this, and Bruce, your product needs that. And it was kind of hard to turn that battleship as a big horizontal ERP system. But since then, he obviously sold Macola to Exact and launched the WiSys product, and he's been able to put all those things in there that we thought that would make the product better, and he's just done a fantastic job. So we're big fans of WiSys. We think that it makes the Macola product, which is a little harder to move, just because of the breadth and feature set and customer base. And what we've been able to do with Bruce and his group at WiSys to meet the requirements of our customers has really changed the way our customers use Macola. And now as we, as an organization, start to focus on things like cloud and IaaS and Workspace and browsers, what Bruce is going to show you today, where he's entering the browser space with agility, is really phenomenal. And we're big fans. So I'll leave it with this. I was going to say Bruce and I both suffer from, or not suffer, benefit from being the product of fantastic women. So I'm going to say to Bruce, say hey to Becky for me, and then I'm going to turn it over to you and let you have at it. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Mike. Nice introduction. So the topic is better, easier, and faster information processing. But I'm going to caveat that with what I'm going to call and talk about is agility reporting and automation. A lot of people think about WiSys as just a WMS company, which I'd like to think that we do WMS exceptionally well, but we do a lot of other things with it, and as part of how we've constructed our product, and actually how, and I want to talk a little bit about how we've kind of rethought how ERP needs to work. So what I'm saying from this side is you don't need WMS. This is just the reporting and automation side of our product. We've sold that as a separate piece for some time, but I don't think it's been really clear to all the customers out there or prospects what it is that we can do without installing WMS. And that's what I'm going to show you today. So one of the things I like to kind of explain is how Macola has worked. And like, again, as Mike said, this is a big, kind of a big ERP product. And it's kind of one of the problems with Macola is that all these COBOL screens are both the user interface, and they're also contain the transaction itself. So the transaction is actually encapsulated into the screen, and it's not available to be used in any other way. So the first thing we need to think about is decoupling the transaction from the UI. So what if we could pull the transaction engine for a receiver out of the screen? And so the screen just became a UI, and then that UI then would call an encapsulated transaction. And if you did that, then what if you could call that transaction from anywhere? I mean, we could create maybe a desktop grid entry where instead of having to go screen after screen after screen after screen very tediously, we could put it in a spreadsheet style entry and go and be very, very fast. And that we actually have this component in our system we'll be talking about. And I mean, It's 10 times faster for data entry. But that's just one way we might want to call the object. What if we also wanted to build a WMS system and call it from a device? What if we'd like to use a tablet and call that transaction engine? Once we break that engine out, we can then call it from any kind of user interface that is the most effective for how we want to be recording transactions. And like this tablet device over here, which we'll be showing, is actually running the web-based product. So that's how we've kind of built our product. You have the Macola database, and then you have this SDK of the receiver was in there. But just about every transaction that's important for distribution and manufacturing, we have available that we've created. And it's kind of like the way I've kind of rethought about ERP. Is, one of the things I got kind of frustrated with at the end days of running Macola was, like Mike said, we come in a room and everybody asks for features. We look at those features. Many times each feature you would create really only affected maybe a small percent. So it was like verticals within verticals of the Macola customer base that we were doing one little change here, another change there, but we weren't really changing everybody's ERP experience across the board. I mean, there were times we did that, but mostly it's what I called feature creep. So this concept of breaking Macola down into components and then being able to reassemble and call Macola in any way I want allows us to actually create unique ERP systems for just about everybody. And we do that with our design products, our framework, which is both Design Studio and Form Studio. I'm going to be talking only about Design Studio for desktop and web-based applications. One of the things I like to say at WiSys is everybody at WiSys is a developer. And that's because our development team only creates these bottom layers. We create the framework, we create the APIs. Once we create this environment, all of the things that we sell, all the WMS components are built by our support and consulting team because it does not take a developer to build the components. We don't have anything that is like a hard-coded programmatic application out there. Everything is part of the end product of the tool set being built by non-programming personnel. So let's talk about reporting and automation. What's our options for reporting? Well, Excel, we can use ODBC and create somewhat dynamic environments, but it's somewhat limited in how I can validate data, and certainly it's not a data entry tool. And then I've got Crystal, which we've used for years, which I'll even show some Crystal integration into our own reporting engine. You've got the old COBOL Macola reports that are very static. SSRS has adds a little more dynamics to the experience, but it's very limited, maybe some sorting and some things like that. And then you have the WiSys agility reporting, which I'm going to talk about today, which is a far superior, robust user experience in terms of data consumption and analysis. Then automation, we've had VBA, we've had one-off programs where people have maybe built some grids, wrote just some tables, but they're fairly tedious to build. And now you got our Design Studio where, as I'll show you today, we can create just about any automation solution that we can think about. So I'm going to show you in reporting, I'm going to start with a desktop multi-level kind of an item view, show the robustness of that, show you an alternative way of looking at data through calendar views, do an OE order status where we'll actually look at a fairly more detailed report and what we can do with that report, and then dashboards. And then for automation, we'll go from tickets to billing and invoicing to consoles and show you more effective ways of building solutions to automate data within Macola. I'm going to move on to M10. I'm going to try to talk about Workspaces. I said Workspaces 2.0, Widget versus original Workspaces, what they call 1.0. Doing some maybe receiving, and then doing a receiving on a tablet, and then maybe multi-level on the phone app. So I just like to say, never do a PowerPoint when you can do a demo. Everything I'm going to show you is in a release state. It was released last November. It is build 567. So let me move on to Rackspace, and I'll launch Agility Explorer. And I'm going to go to my favorites. So let's talk about, I have an inventory location master list, which is really somewhat like a MLI. I'll call it MLI from there. And, there's different kinds of ways we can sort data. So let's say I want to look at, say, everything that's binned. And I want to go, just a second, I got something here in my way. I want to come out here and get, so I want to bring over a purchased and manufactured. So we look at that. And then I'm going to do a column chooser. I have other columns available to me. And I'll bring in the activity code. Drag. And so the that's the activity data. I want the activity code. I like the data, just take it out. So I'm going to get rid of my bin flag here for temporarily. I have a lot of obsolete items out here. I obviously don't want to look at those. So I'm going to get rid of those. And purchased or manufactured, I have another way of looking at things. Wait, purchased unit measure. I got the wrong one. There it is. I'll just bring it over here. Drag it in here. And I'm going to look at purchased only. I could do a drop down and say look at manufactured. There's different ways of looking at things. I'll show more filtering, but pretty much, I mean, you can go out and you can bring in on columns that you don't want to hide. So if you want to be very open and robust in your SQL select for this particular grid, you can do that and still keep most of the fields hidden, so you don't know sometimes what the user really wants to be looking at. So I've looked at purchased items here, and we've got the activity code filter. I also want to filter, because I really only buy from location, for location 00. You'll notice as fast as I type that the grid resets. And there could be thousands of records in this grid, and it's that instantaneous always. It's there's no delay whatsoever. I want to save this, and so I'm going to save this as, and I already have since purchased goods already have that out here, and I want to protect it from an update so we don't stomp on it, and I'm going to make it user private, which means only I can edit it. But I want to share it. So I'm going to launch the security system. Yes, I'm going to write on top of that. And I can come and say, I want everybody that's got a role of inventory control to have this particular view, this layout. So I can deploy it either that way, or I can deploy it by individual users. And now I can control who gets these individual views. And then once we create one, we save them to the side, or they're part of the drop-down. So let's look at another way of looking at data. Let's look at this daily order total calendar. Oh, wait, I wanted to do something else here. I'm sorry. I'm going to look at 25009. I didn't show you the multi-level item view. And what I wanted to do here was, again, if you go to any of Macola's views, you never have the fields you want. And in this case, I have the same kind of recreation of the view, but with unlimited control of the grid. Again, I have column choosers. I'm going to bring in user-defined field 1. This may be a field I have something in case this actually did have something in it. And it looks like it's packaging. So I'm going to go in here to just a second here, context. I'm going to go in here and just call it packaging. And now I have that field defined. And I save that as a layout. Now, one thing you'll find is these screens here, and you'll see as I keep calling screens. These screens, once you change them, they keep calling. You can call them anywhere in the system. So once you have your MLI view the way you want it, and you have other places in the system you want to, pass in a value and call MLI, it'll always have your special field in there. So you can customize this to maybe your own user tables or to user-defined fields. It's pretty much unlimited. You can create your own. Basically, what you're doing is you're creating your own ERP, and that's really what we really have as a philosophy at WiSys, is that you get to create your ERP. And of course, you have drill downs here. I'm not going to really keep going here because I'm going to run out of time. But everything's drill, 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 and you can just keep drilling almost infinitely in the product. And a lot of people have multiple monitors these days, so you can have multiple screens up on multiple monitors at the same time. And a lot of people do that. It almost becomes like a bunch of these grids tend to be people's dashboard work center that they kind of build. So let's look at the daily calendar. In this case, I've got some, well, let me get rid of this. In this case, I'm going to look at booked and invoiced. And I have some data out here. I'm going to go back to January where I've got quite a bit of data. What's going on? Uh-oh. I lost my connection. Should come back. There. Mike, can you still hear me?
I said, I hear you, Bruce. I was just
okay. Sorry, I seemed like
you're using a demo server, not your own in-house, so I thought that was worth mentioning.
Yeah, well, yeah, but when I lost the connection, I thought my internet connection was the problem.
Yeah, I hear you. No, you're good.
All right, so I'm back online. Sorry about that. So anyways, I can now drill into this data here as well. And again, I have the same interaction to bring up embedded screens and drill in and say reprint an invoice. So let's see what else I wanted to look at. Order status. Show you a couple of things we can do here. I've got all the order statuses. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a group by panel. And then I'm going to come in here also and put a footer. I'm going to do account, and then down here I'm going to bring total dollars down here where we can see it, and then do a sum. So now we're looking at total dollars. Then I'm going to come back and take status, move it up here, and then the same thing, do account and do a total dollar sum. And now I can look at those and I can say, you know, why do I have so many amount of money on credit hold? And I can expand that and look at it as an exception and start drilling into the data and find out what's going on with vertical communications. So it's just different ways of looking at and reporting on data. This is a, you know, more of a reporting type application. So I just show that as a, so the last report environment I'm going to show you is the dashboard. I'm going to show you the dashboard in the web as well as on the desktop. And these are this is an interactive component. So I can drill into it. I can eliminate filters. I can double filter it. And then I can drill in to the AR card. And again, this is just another, I mean, if you look at this in Macola ES and progression, you know, trying to look at AR data is not very elegant in either one. But if you can see here, we just put this thing together where we've got our own accounts receivable type environment that is much more robust and gives you a much better access to data. And in here, you know, you can, if you're doing collections, and again, you might want to reprint and send the client an invoice. You know, it's just all there and it's just all built together. If you want some other kind of interactive components for AR, you can just take these components and copy them and build your own. So let's move on to automation. Let's look at pick management. I can do multiple things here. This is a different way of looking at data that I want to process for the day. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look at, let me see. I want to look at quantity to ship. I'm going to put in 0 there. But I'm going to edit the filter and is greater than 0. Not sure what it's doing. And I'm going to actually create a back order by changing this number here. And then I'm going to just do a change quantity. And actually create a back order scenario. So then I'm going to edit the filter again. I'm going to go look at back orders. And I'm going to get rid of this one. Make this greater than 0.0. And in this case, my fill back order shows that there's not quantity available except for in these. So let's just select these. And then just turn around and fill back order. So now I've filled some back orders, and I want to look at items that are not back ordered. Everything. Oh, I got a filter on here. By the way, once you But let me just go ahead and stay with this. So I got some non-backordered items here, and I'm just going to select a handful of them, and then I'm going to print a pick ticket. So those are just different things you can do with a grid. What makes a lot of sense is like order billing, where instead of having to do, heads down data entry, I just want to come in here and, fill in some freight amounts and just come through down. Now, instead of, I would have to go into screen after screen after screen in Macola. Here I just go ahead and select what I want to bill. I'm going to bill this. And then it's going to ask me if I want to invoice at the same time. That's all just part of the design tool. And then I'm going to print to snag it. It didn't work right. I should have printed it to screen. All right. Anyway, so you can bill and invoice all in one step, and you can do it in a grid style fashion. So let me move on to the web. Try to stay on time here. This is some of the stuff I showed Mike the other day that that he really wanted me to get to. I wanted to go a little bit further and give you the foundation for reporting, because sometimes your reporting automation just is more efficient in a desktop environment. But I'm also going to now move on to talking about M10 integration, widgets, tablets, and phone apps. So let me start by, this is my home page, and not sure why. Just a second. I gotta go to this home. Okay, that's what I wanted. All right, so this is my home page, and I have normal workflow and things on my home page. I've got some other integrated web-based apps from us. I've got some dashboards, and I've just got some general graphs that are just graph-only widgets. The way the system was originally built for M10 was based on Workspaces. So this is the original concept of Workspaces and dashboards. And these dashboards are highly non-interactive. They're just KPIs. You can incorporate our components in here. This is a PO receiving that works just like the desktop PO receiving, where I can receive amount, quantities, put in bins and lots if it needs it. So this works. Like I'll just receive another 2. And it's going to go out and call the object. I could receive 20, 30, it'd be about the same amount of time. And then I can also print reports. The same kind of things in the desktop I can do in the web. So let me go back to my home page. And I'm going to speak of some overhead from the webinar itself, because these pages usually just snap. So I've got kind of different kinds of dashboards here. I can take and do a date drag kind of a control. And again, these things are fairly interactive, and that's for OE. I can do, here's an SSRS view of year-over-year sales. This is ours with the drill down. I can drill into data same way I can do on the desktop. I've got the same kind of interactivity here. So they're both very dynamic, even though they're web-based. And these are, you build the desktop tool and the web tool exactly the same way, using exactly the same Design Studio. So there's some different things in how you manage layouts and controls, but other than that, it's pretty much an identical type of environment for development. And what's kind of interesting, once you're on M10, like I did a drill down right there into Roseland, and if I want to go here and look at the invoice number, I can actually now integrate synergy components with our components. Even to the point where I want to create an AR collection task. Always. So if I create that, it's going to create it. And then I come back and I want to go back. A lot of times what I do here, and I guess I don't have, well, I have one here. Sometimes it's more efficient to just make the whole page your dashboard. So, because you can create multiple workspaces, and it just makes it a little easier to use. So you don't have, you know, keep coming back. So you'll see I go back to that same one, and now it knows there's an open AR task. Now I can go and update it. So that just shows you some of the ways you can interact in M10 and actually have a really nice integrated reporting tool inside of Synergy. Now everything I've done here, if I'm going to go over here to ultimately, this is our menu. I mean, we are really, when we're launching these components, we're basically launching them from our website. But you can also go to our own website where, you know, you can use our own menu, like to go to PO receipts on the web. This is the same application here. I'm just using our menu to get there. So you don't need M10 to use our web-based products. I think they're going to be, you'll see they're more effective when I get to the tablet and the phone of using applications like that in those locations. Another thing that people have talked about that they, and I don't have this totally set up for a demo. Let me see here. I was looking for my gateway. Maybe it's under PO. Yeah, so here's like a PO vendor gateway. The idea being here is that, now I don't have the filter set right. You can pass the customer name down into the grid. And by doing that, you could set up logins for your vendors. And you could use the product to just let them interact with data. They can actually just either look at data or they can actually interact with the data. And like people with 3PLs and things like that are thinking that might be a really good use for web-based products, and they're very easy to build. So those are different things you can do with web-based products. So we did a PO receipt. I showed you the work. Oh yeah, I didn't really show you the workspaces. Let me do that. So this is how easy it is. When this is in 10.4 and above, you've got the ability to do these widgets. And we've added a section to the widgets called Agility Widget. And basically, you just come in here, select your company, and then process grids, and analytic dashboards are available to you that you can actually build into Anything that's out there like this PO receipts, I can just go grab it. It's just looking into our database. So if you build it and then immediately come in here, it's going to be available to you instantly. And all you have to do is click it and then save. And now I've added this widget down in here, which you can drag around inside the product. Maybe create your own space for it, expand it. So these things are pretty effective, and you can just build these into multiple workspaces. You can stack them, or you can create as many individual workspaces as you want. And that's what, and we just released this in 567. And if you are an M10 user interested in the product, we can do all this integrated reporting right into M10 now. So I want to move on to tablets. And let me get my iPad mini here and let me connect it. And let's see. Waiting for my screen mirroring to come up. There we go. So if you go to the App Store, if I go to the App Store, you'll find the ability to download, and it's in Google Play as well, Agility Mobile Explorer. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to launch it. And when you first come in, it's going to come in and ask you for your credentials. And you're going to enter them, and I'm going back to the same M10 demo Rackspace server I've been on all along, same one I just did the M10 demo on. It's all on the same thing, same applications. And you'll see here it comes up with our menu that I just showed you a little bit ago. So I'm going to go to purchase order and do, again, the same PO receipts. And this is on my mini. A tablet's a full iPad's a little better, but I mean, it doesn't have to be an iPad. It could be, this is just browser-based. We have, like I said, we're on Google Play as well. So if you've got an Android tablet, Android phone, you can download the same app. And then the same functionality that we just showed you before is now available, and you can enter data on the screen. And then I just do a receipt. So you could take this down to the floor if that's what you want to do. Same capability, all the same on both products. So that's how you can deploy applications to a tablet and have all the same functionality you would on the desktop application as a desktop browser. So let me next connect. Now I'm going to connect my phone. Let me get on Air Server. It's not there. Never know with their server. All right, same thing. Agility Mobile. I've downloaded it from the App Store on my phone. So it works the same way. And I'm going to look at this IM Mobile MI ListView. A couple of things we did different for the phone. Just a second. We created, instead of a grid, we've created the ability to find it as a list view control, where there's no column headers. You kind of define your columns a little more robustly. That's the location. I could have prefixed that with the LOC to make that clear. This is the quantity on hand, so I just had some data here. So I want to look at all binned items. And I'm going to look at this particular item. This is a dialog. This is an item location drill down dialog. Every single field that you have on your desktop is really available here. And these new dialog controls scroll very well. They're very phone friendly. I could look at the item master, or I could go look at bins. I could look at, I don't know if I have any POs out here for, it doesn't look like it. Okay. So you can drill down into orders, production orders, lots, bins. I'm going to drill into bins. And here's the bin screen. And it's kind of hard to see. I can rotate it, make it a little easier to see. And then if you'll see, I have an edit button here. If I hit the edit button, that brings up a little entry screen. And I'm going to transfer items on my phone. I'm going to do a quantity transfer. And I'm going to do 5. I'll transfer it to the other bin, which has 5 in it. And I just transferred, now it's 10, not 5. So I actually did a transaction on my phone through multi-level item view. Transaction capability is all there. I mean, every transaction in our system can be called from the phone. It's just a matter of our UI capability to do transactions. But at this time, it's somewhat limited, but we're going to continue to build in this platform. I'm working with a company right now that's building a set of applications for their salespeople. So hopefully I'll have that up and live and running this week. So with that, I think I covered all my material, Mike. I think I made it 15 minutes early for questions.
Bruce, this is Jeff. You ended almost right on 2:15 on the dot. You couldn't have done it better if you had, a big alarm clock sitting in front of you. And actually, I was going to say, this is too good to miss this opportunity to have you on, Bruce. I know you went through everything that you had planned on. However, if you would like to keep going until 2:30, we can arrange to have, because we have several questions from our attendees, we can actually put the Q&A on our blog along with the video of the presentation. So I don't want you to feel like you have to cut things off if there are additional things that you'd like to show.
I think I've pretty much showed it, but I'd rather take some questions, and if somebody wants me to show something specific, then I think we have the time to do that. So I'd like having 15 minutes of Q&A.
Right, terrific. Well, we have one that is really general, and it's the softball of all softballs, Bruce, so we'll start there. is Macola 10 required for agility, or is it compatible with other versions of Macola?
Yeah, you know, I think that's an interesting question. I think I missed something in my presentation now that I think about it. Yeah, there is, I don't think, no, I never showed consoles. One second. When I put this, there, maybe I'll do it. I put the Snagit printer out here, and I should have not selected it because it's not working right, and it does exactly that, locks things up. So I'm going to start over here and go to my favorites. And the one thing I did not show is the console. The console is Macola dependent. It's just Macola ES. So some of the things you can do, this is kind of where we use a ribbon bar, and instead of using a menu, we bring everything into one big console for managing orders. So I can come in here and actually just go ahead and print a ticket right from here. Or this is status 1 order. So I'm going to come in here, and I can actually call Macola programs. So we have a pretty robust library of Macola programs that you can make components from the menu. And so there are cases where it makes sense just to go on the Macola screen. We didn't see any reason to recreate order entry if we can call order entry. We cannot call order entry. We cannot call progression screens. But any version of ES or M10, this calling convention works. So in this case, this is the one version specific feature. But again, any ES product, including M10, is callable. And you'll notice that I passed values to that as well. So it came up right on that particular order. If I just want to enter an order, I can also just do add order and use it just to add orders. I can call the billing grid, conformship grid. I can even post invoices from here. So one console to do everything related to order entry. That's the only version-specific feature that we have.
Okay.
So that really, I picked up on something I forgot to show.
Nope, and that's perfect because that did give us an opportunity to go back to it. So I'm glad that we had the time for the Q&A. Now, to follow up on the reports that you showed early on, we got a question from somebody that said, is there a way to call these reports, such as the multi-level item view, from M10 menus to keep the user in one interface?
Yeah, I thought, okay, that's...
And I think that you did show a little bit of that, Bruce, after we got this question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, the web-based capability is not 100% equal to the desktop, but most of the features are there. I mean, again, I go back to like PO receiving, just an easy one to go to. I mean, you still have all the ability to, filter that you had. And this is on the tablet or on the web. All the filtering capability that we have on the others here as well. So that one's probably I can actually just select one item. But not with that filter. So yeah, you have all the capability here. So you can build, I haven't built out a full multi-level, well, I have the multi-level one, which was web-based that I showed on a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So you could run that on a tablet as well. I find that when you design these things for a phone or a tablet, we give you a lot of layout controls, and you almost have to really target the device and the size of the device when you build these applications to make them really effective. But we give you all the tools to do that.
Okay.
I would build another multi-level item view for a tablet that maybe be 3 or 4 column across.
Oh, and adapt more to what the screen real estate is.
Yeah, to take up the real estate and use it really effectively.
Right, okay, okay. Now, we've got a couple of other more technical questions. Is there a way yet to add a field to a grid without having to reset the layouts and recreate them all to get the new field to show up?
Yeah, this came up the other day in our company meeting. Actually came up this morning. It turns out that if you add a field to a parent grid, it'll only show at the end. So if I go in to like a designer and I would go into like, I don't know the best way to show this, but I probably should go. A better one would have been probably OE or this, but like if I add a field to the end of, say, the inventory lot location master that I was working on, then it will then immediately show at the end. It always does. I don't know if I got a good field to show. I think I got every field out here anyways, except the filler. That'll do. Then if I preview that, it didn't do what I thought. I said this the other day. We were talking about this, and if it doesn't do it, we're going to fix it because it should do it. Yeah, the filler's there. I just added it. You can drag it on. I don't know. Sometimes it seems to add it to the end. Maybe it was because I had a parent-child, and the parent had added on. The child, we found that the child grid, which I mean by that is when you've got like that status one, like OE. Let me go to favorites. Oh, this is different. This is my own personal. So OE order status, this is a parent-child grid. And what we found was that as of today, if you add a field to the child grid, then there isn't any other way to fix it but to reset the layout. For the parent, it's always there. So we're looking into that for the next release to see if there's a way we can fix that.
Okay, great. And then how is security addressed? For example, for credit hold orders, can all users see all orders, or is there security for, and I take exception, but they always identify salespeople or sales territories. That they don't want to see all of the data. So
right. Well, simply the easiest way to do that is a couple ways. Number one, this is the query for the header and the detail. One way is just to take, just to restrict credit memos. Just don't put them on the grid. The other way to do it is you can pass the username into the grid. So you could, on your own rules, have selection criteria that would restrict based on who's looking at the data. So you can either make it dynamically filtered. Again, this would be that you would do for your own company, right, and you would do it on your own. Or you could just not allow them to even see them.
Right. So in other words, there are a couple of different ways that you could do it depending upon whether you're trying to filter out particular data that you don't want people to see, or if you're simply trying to restrict access to a particular person.
Whether it's the web or it's the desktop, we always give you access to the individual name. So
yep, okay.
With that, you can do all kinds of filtering on your own.
Okay. And then we got another question from about the grid data and the charts. Are they exportable to Excel?
Oh, yeah, something else I forgot to do. Yeah, you can export to Excel.
Okay, and it's not just the data, but it would also be the charts that would be exportable?
No, I think only the grids.
Okay.
I don't think. Let me look. Now, whether we can fix that or not, I think there might be some things we can do there, but as of now, I don't think there's any export that is exposed as part of that. Something we could look into.
Bruce, while you were just on the grid you were just on, I noticed that some of the cells were highlighted in red or an orange color. Are those highlighted for a particular purpose, or is that?
Yeah, it shows up here. I was talking about that with the pick management.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right, that I had back orders highlighted as red. In this case, I've got late promise dates in red.
Okay.
So those are called alerts.
Okay.
And they're totally user definable.
Okay, perfect. And then we got another question from another attendee that was asking, how does fill BOs work in a hard allocation shop?
That's a good question. I have to give that some thought. If you don't have any, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
Okay.
Maybe even do some testing.
Okay. Well, obviously we've got the name of the attendee who asked the question, and so if you don't mind, Bruce, I'll follow up with you afterwards. Just send you the question. And then when you're able to research it, if you could provide us an answer, we'll respond back to you.
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great. Now, I noticed that we're almost at the bottom of the hour at our planned time. As far as I can see, it looks like we have answered all of the questions that we've gotten in through the chat and the Q&A panels. Oh, one more came in. Oh, okay. It was the person who asked the last question, Bruce. She said you can give him my name. So I'll send that along to you. But it looks like we've answered all of the questions that everybody has asked here during the presentation. I just want to say, Bruce, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon to share with us the new tool set that you are developing. And it's exciting to see not only as the product is evolving, but we can actually hear in your presentation sort of the work process that you're going through as you are adding new developments. And so that was really enjoyable for us. I want to mention to all of our attendees, as we said at the beginning, we are recording today's presentation. We are going to be posting it on our blog and on the YouTube channel that we have, Algorithm TV. Please feel free to access the recording, or if you would like to have us send you a link to the recording, please don't hesitate to contact either of the account managers or the business development managers that are here at Algorithm. We'd be happy to follow up with you. Also, I want to mention to you that as we end or exit the WebEx, we will have a survey that is going to display for you on exit, and we'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide us, not only about today's presentation, but also ideas about future webinars. We'd love to get some feedback on that as well. Finally, I'd like to remind everybody that we do have several other webinars coming up here in the coming weeks, and we would welcome, obviously, all of you attending. Some of them are going to be Macola related. We're going to be looking at several different topics. So please keep an eye out for the marketing emails that our team sends out inviting you for those webinars. And then finally, I just want to say, again, we would really appreciate anything that you can give us in terms of things that we could be doing better in terms of the webinars. And so even if it's not in response to the survey, if you just want to send a message to one of us, either here at the sales team, or if you want to send it over to Carl McKinney or myself, Jeff Jenkins here at Algorithm, we'd be happy to work on that, those suggestions for you. And then the last thing I want to say once again is, Bruce, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate not only the years of using your products, but we appreciate the ongoing development that you're doing and sharing your time and also an insight into what's happening now with WiSys. So thank you again. Mike Oswalt, thanks again for the introduction at the beginning. And we hope all of you have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks again, everybody, and look forward to seeing you next time that we host another in the Algorithm webinar series.